If you want to switch up the sound and performance of your 2018 or newer JL Wrangler's 2.0-liter exhaust system, this Flowmaster Outlaw Extreme single turn-down exhaust system with the black tip will be a great option. Now getting right into sound, this will be a 4 out of 5 on the loudness meter, with 1 being completely stock and 5 being Wake the Neighbors loud. Now this is really going to up the volume and change the tone of the exhaust, creating a deeper and more throaty sound out of the 2.0-liter while keeping interior noise pretty minimal, especially when it comes to drone. Not to mention, if you don't really care for the look of the exhaust and want as much clearance as possible for the trail, then this is going to be right up your alley. Now again, as it says in the name, this will feature that turn-down style design that will keep the exhaust minimal and out of the way, which will better your departure angles when going off-road. Not to mention, this will relieve a lot of restriction compared to the factory exhaust, which will help when it comes to small power and efficiency gains. Now when it comes to the construction, this will essentially straight pipe from the axle back, eliminating the muffler for a substantial volume increase. Now the piping will consist of 3-inch 16-gauge mandrel bent 409 stainless steel, which is a ½ inch larger than the factory, and beat it with streamlined and smooth airflow. Now the rear portion of the exhaust will also have the black powder coat finish to offer additional rust resistance. Now this Outlaw muffler has a straight through style design, which will be responsible for the sound that you're getting out of the system. Now this exhaust will also reuse all the factory hangers and dump right before the rear axle, making sure that it's minimal and tucked out of the way. Now this will be roughly $350, making it a pretty affordable option for a catback exhaust. Now in comparison to other choices on the page, this will be simple and to the point with a no-fuss design, being that, again, it's going to be minimal when it comes to the tubing and dump before the axle. Now others on the page may include a different configuration, like a dual or single rear exit that will offer more of a sporty appearance than this does. However, this is going to offer the maximum amount of clearance, especially compared to those larger options. Now again, I think if you're not necessarily concerned about the look, you're just looking for a more aggressive sound and some more clearance out of your exhaust system, then this is a great choice. Installing this will be a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you no longer than 2 hours to get the job done with some pretty basic hand tools. At this point, we can head over to the shop and check out a detailed breakdown of the install and what that looks like step by step. So that's gonna wrap it up for me. Let's go ahead and get into it.
We're gonna need a couple of tools for this install. First, it's gonna be a 3/8 extension, a 13mm ratchet wrench, 13mm socket, 15mm socket, and an impact or just a regular ratchet will work fine as well. Along with these tools, you're gonna need some way to cut a pipe, whether that's a circular saw or an angle grinder. A Sawzall might even work too. What's going on, guys? Today we're gonna be installing an exhaust system on our Wrangler. Before we get started here, check out this video that shows you how to do the uninstall process, and then meet me back here and we'll get it put on.
First thing I'm gonna do is loosen this clamp up here with a 15mm socket, and we're gonna work on getting this muffler out. So we're gonna support our muffler with a pole jack, and then we're gonna remove our hangers on both sides. So you're gonna have a hanger over here at the top, hanger over there. There's gonna be 2 bolts in it. We're gonna use a 13mm wrench and socket to get those out. Now the first thing we're gonna do is remove this side bolt here. This bolt is easily accessed with a 13mm wrench. You can also use a socket from up above the sway bar. After that, above that bolt, and a little bit further towards the back of the Jeep, you're gonna have a 13mm bolt up in there. So we're gonna take a 13mm socket on an extension. Pull that bolt out, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So at this point in time, you're gonna hold your muffler up, remove your pole jack, get Meredith from XT to take it away for you. And we're just gonna wiggle this thing back and off. So next we're gonna go up to the end of our Y-pipe next to our transfer case. You're gonna have a V-band clamp. We're gonna use a 13mm socket to loosen that up. Next, we're going to follow our exhaust back to our next hanger by our axle, and then we're going to remove that from the rubber bushing. When you get the hanger off, you can remove the rest of your system.
All right, before we get started, there's a couple things you need to do, and we're gonna have to do a little bit of legwork. First being, I took the foremost clamp, the one all the way to the front of the vehicle that we removed in the uninstall, off, and we're gonna be reusing this on that joint here with that tapered edge. And then onto this piece. Now this piece that comes in the kit is really long, and you're going to find if you try to install it like this on a 2-door, it's gonna be way too long. Now this kit does work for a 4-door and a 2-door, and in our application we're using a 2-door. So we're gonna have to trim quite a bit of pipe off of this to make it fit, and that measurement for a 2-door is going to be 22 1/4 from this end, the flat end, not the bent end here. So we're gonna measure 22 1/4, mark it, and we're gonna go cut it on the saw. Now that we have this piece cut and to the right length, we're good to go ahead and take that clamp we transferred over from the old exhaust, put it on there, and attach it onto the vehicle. Now I'm using a 13mm socket on my 3/8 impact, and I'm gonna tighten it down once I have it held in place. Now that that's secure, we're good to go ahead and move on to the next piece. So I've got the clamp that's included with the kit slid onto the edge of this piece here, and I'm going to hold it and slip it over so that that turn down is facing the ground, not any other way. I have to kind of wiggle it back and forth to get it on all the way. And then I can reach up here and tuck that hanger into the exhaust isolator that's there on the side of the frame, just like that. Make sure that's secure and in place. Then we're good to go ahead and tighten that clamp up. I've got my 15mm socket on my 3/8 impact, and I'm gonna tighten the clamp down. Now that that's secure, you can make sure everything is nice and tight and it's not gonna hit anything. And that is a completed install. That is a finished install. That was the Flowmaster Outlaw Extreme single exhaust system with black tips, turn downs for the 2018 and newer 2-liter Jeep Wrangler JL. For all things Jeep, remember to keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.